Hey, folks, welcome to Market Intraday Analysis by InTheMoneyStocks.com, your leaders in pure technical analysis, avoiding all that Wall Street hype. This video is for Monday, August 27th, 2012. My name is Gareth Soloway, Chief Market Strategist at InTheMoneyStocks.com. All right, markets are basically holding around the flat line. We saw a nice little push up in the markets here in the late morning session, but it has fallen back down now. And this is interesting because you're looking at a market that kind of wants to go higher because of light volume. Light volume today, guys, get this, 43.7 million traded. It's basically 2:30 p.m. We're probably on pace to do the lightest volume of the year easily today. I'm not surprised. Why? Because you have Jackson Hole on Friday. Everyone's waiting for that. You have the Labor Day holiday weekend coming up, 3-day weekend next weekend, and that's making a lot of traders go on vacation with their families. This is like the last week before the kids go back to school. All these factors are just making for extremely light action. Now, the interesting thing about the markets right now is that even due to this insanely light volume, you're not seeing a lot of upside. Now, last week, we saw a nice little down week. Even though the markets rallied on Friday, you still had a down week overall. But this week, again, you would anticipate the markets floating higher. And just the basis of lack of volume alone is making me kind of neutral for this 1 week period. And then I think after this, we start to look for downside. And it could be significant downside, as I've been saying. So really, for me, it's just an accumulation period. And that's the beautiful thing about it. We're still in the Nexus regions. The Nexus on the daily is a beautiful thing right here. I loved this action last week, folks, because you basically saw a gap above here. All the amateur pikers out there, they're like, oh my goodness, we're breaking out. We're going higher. And then sure enough, that same exact day, just as they go long, the market goes the opposite way. And this will be the constant theme. Always remember this. If the amateurs out there are going one way, the markets will go the opposite way. And it's up to me to read that and obviously position myself and my members here at InTheMoneyStocks.com on the opposite side. You know, all these message boards and all this kind of nonsense, all those pikerish people, they're the ones that lose money. They actually donate money to the markets. Unfortunately, most of it goes to the institutions, but at least those members here at In The Money Stocks, whether you're a day trader or swing trader, we at least get some of that money to flow through because we're able to profit off of it as well. But the bottom line is you had a great reversal last week, and now you're probably looking for a sideways-ish type week this week. Even me, to be honest, I'm surprised the markets aren't up a little bit more today because of how light the volume is. If volume's going to be this light all week, you would generally expect to float higher, and we're really not seeing much of that for as light volume as we're seeing today. So we'll continue to watch it. One thing you can see here on an intraday basis on the spiders, the 50 MA, this is what's holding the market up. You can see you tagged it and then bouncing here. You could make a case for a small inside bar pattern here from this move up in here, which is slightly bullish. So we may go back towards the highs of the day by the end of the day. But bottom line is it's not exactly a massive, powerful move up. As light as this volume could be, you really would anticipate something a little bit better than this. Does that show overall weakness? Yes, it does. It absolutely does. We'll see if this continues to be the way it shows itself going into the end of this week and into next week. And then again, once volume returns, I do anticipate some good downside. I'm going to continue to look for more shorting opportunities. We continue to have, I'm right around 25%, 25-30% of my portfolio on the short side. I'm not going to tell you what I'm short, obviously, because that's for membership-only people. And the Research Center, you can take a free trial to 7-day free trial, which is part... You know, it's basically part of the services we offer here. The Research Center is geared towards swing traders and investors, while the intraday stock chat is day traders. That's obviously, you know, the case. But bottom line is you can take a 7-day free trial to both, to one, to the other. Doesn't really matter. You can try it out. Get on the right side of the market. Now, a couple little stocks to look at here. Number one, Apple's up nicely today. $13 higher. It opened higher and sold off, and then it's kind of just gone sideways the rest of the day. I think Apple's going to be a great shorting opportunity. The key is, as we calculate these levels out, you have to anticipate the float this week. I think Apple probably gets close to 700, maybe even pierces it. And then I think that should be a good opportunity based on, obviously, calculations that we're going to continue to do involving the light volume, involving master levels. You probably somewhere around there. Now, I'll have to isolate that level down, and I'll give that to our members here at In The Money Stocks, but that should be a nice little level to look for some downside action on Apple. Apple, again, nice little move up today, a little bit of a gap up off the news on Friday about Samsung having to pay them about $1 billion. But nonetheless, this should work out very nicely if it can achieve that level. JP Morgan Chase up 17 cents today. Not much upside there, just a small float, kind of mirroring the markets. Had a beautiful reversal last week. This was a good leading indicator for last week's action. Goldman Sachs remains up about 70 cents. Decent sell-off on Friday, and then reversal, closed higher on Friday, and then continuation today, up about 69 cents currently. Let's take a look at a couple other stocks today. Baidu, BIDU, after that ugly sell-off, you actually are having a nice bounce back. My anticipation is you're at least going to get BIDU to go back to the 50 MA. All right, I'd be surprised if it doesn't at least get back to the 50, and I think it could even do more. You could actually be looking at a 50% retrace of this entire down move. There's even a possibility that if it gets its mojo back, it could go all the way to these moving averages. If it ever achieved that, though, I'd look for a short. All right, this would be your short range right here on BIDU on the daily chart around the 126-ish level, 125-ish level, somewhere in this vicinity right up here. First question is, though, can it get through this level at the 118 and change level? And if it does, then it's going to go north nicely to the upside. Google today is down off the Apple news. Obviously, the Apple news was bullish for Apple phones, not so good for the Droids. But even Google has come back nicely. You can see the sell-off took it down on the daily chart here to the 20 MA. And then right off of there, it's floated up the rest of the day. So you're seeing that happen as well. As I said before, markets are neutral to positive. NASDAQ is hovering up about 7 points. S&P's up about 2. And Dow is still actually flat to slightly negative on the day. We're seeing some Dow stocks still weaker. I mean, there are really some weaker Dow stocks out there. Take a look at Cummins here, CMI, down about 95 cents. And let's take a look at a couple other Dow components as well. How's McDonald's doing? McDonald's is doing all right today. Actually, a pretty good day on McDonald's. Let's take a look at Verizon, VZ. VZ's down 57 cents. So you can see a lot of the Dow components are a little bit on the weaker side, but nonetheless, something to keep an eye on here, the Dow being a little bit weaker. I'm not a huge fan of analyzing the Dow in terms of a leading indicator, personally. I'm more looking at leading stocks like JPM and Apple as being the leaders of the market for the most part. All right, let's take a look at a couple other stocks out there. What else is moving here in the day session? I've talked about Apple and a couple of the others. Let's take a look at Amazon, though, AMZN. Amazon, a little bit of downside today, so you are seeing a little weakness. This stock gapped up today and reversed and then had a big bounce back to the 20s. Now trying to break out here a little bit. Markets are trying to get that little bit of a bid we saw off the 50 MA on the spiders, but nonetheless, you're going to look for the 50 MA here, which also matches kind of right in this range. This will be resistance right in this range, right around the 245-ish area on Amazon. If it pops into 245, 245 and a half, really, that's going to be a good resistance level on that stock, all right? Taking a look at a couple others out there. Chevron slightly lower. Oil had a nice little reversal day. Let's take a look at oil. The USO is off its lows. Believe it or not, pre-market, the USO was sharply higher, trading up here. And then it started to reverse, and by the open, it was down sharply. Why? Well, basically, the storm in the Gulf turned out to not be a big event. It's really just a tropical storm. People were worried it would be a hurricane, maybe even a Category 2. And it just didn't materialize. I'm here in Tampa, and honestly, the sun's out, and the waves are about as small as usual. So, even considering that, the tropical storm, you're not seeing much rain even in certain parts of Florida. And yes, it's heading towards Louisiana and such, but at tropical storm levels, the rigs are built to withstand that. I mean, that's a no-brainer. It's just not going to have that impact. So that's really why oil sold off early in the morning once it looked like it wasn't going to be as big an event. And then we've seen since then just a slow float up as the optimism, comes back in about global growth, Jackson Hole in the Fed, and all these other factors. Obviously, the travel holiday, Labor Day, is coming up as well. All right, going back to the spiders, let's just take a quick gander and see what's going on there. But market's floating up off that 50, coming back up a little bit. Again, that was a little bit of a bullish pattern here. By the way, I called this big breakout today perfectly. Within 60 seconds of it happening, I gave the alert to the intraday stock chat. The market was going to start to rip here. Sure enough, bam, bam, good profits for a lot of members who took that trade. And then since then, it's been a float. And really, the 50 MA was a perfect buy right there, and bam, right back up. So good profits to be had. The key is just reading the charts, folks. If you read the charts, if you learn the proprietary methodology we teach here, you profit. I don't care if you're a day trader, swing trader, investor. You still can utilize it the same way, and you profit in any market. You know when the market's going to dump. You know when it's going to go up. You know when to set yourself up and accumulate, whether it's shorts or longs. That's the way it's done. So that's what I'm going to continue to do here, give my members the premium analysis that lets them continue to make money in any market and set themselves up for the next big move. And we'll go off into the rest of this week and watch very closely how the market reacts to the extremely light volume. Take care, folks. Have a great, great afternoon. Make some money. Come to In the Money Stocks. Make tons. Bottom line. Take care.